Hello, everyone, and welcome back from your break. And we are in our closing keynote session, which is called Sustainable High Performance: How to Bring Your Best When Stress is High and Morale is Hard by Daryl Stinson. I hope you enjoyed your break. My name is Nina Bowser, Injury and Violence Prevention Section Manager with Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and I have the pleasure today of introducing our final speaker of today. So, our closing keynote comes with high recommendations. So, I was introduced to Daryl after one of my staff heard him speak at a webinar that she attended, and she came back and she was like, you have got to have him come and speak. He was awesome. And she just couldn't say enough about him. So when we had the opportunity to start planning for this event, we reached out to him, and we are so thankful that he is here today. He will come with a lot of energy, a lot of heart, and it's a perfect message for us to close out as we talk about bringing our best selves to the work that we do when morale gets hard for us. He'll be discussing how to continue to show up at a high level when stress is high, and sometimes morale seems really heavy. And during the next hour, when Daryl is presenting, if you have any questions, please use the session chat feature, and then we will leave time at the end for questions. And you can also feel free to send Daryl a private chat message if you prefer that. So without further delay, let me just tell you a little bit about Daryl. So Daryl Stinson, also known as D Stints, and I love that. I love that, and hopefully he can kind of tell us a little bit about how he got that. Is becoming known as one of the most dynamic, vulnerable speakers of our time. A former Division I athlete, Daryl went through a severe depression after a back surgery ended his path to the NFL. Thankfully, everything changed when he found faith and mental health practices in a psychiatric unit. Today, Daryl is a two times TEDx speaker, best-selling author, and a masterful storytelling. So hopefully we can hear some of those stories. Who combines his experience as an elite athlete, his personal challenges in mental health, and his expertise in communication to ignite massive growth within individuals and organizations. He's graced the stage with celebrities such as Magic Johnson, Seth Godin, Jack Canfield, and Eric Thompson, and many more. He is energetic, heartfelt, and thought-provoking. Presentations leave a lasting imprint, making him a compelling choice for events and organizers. Beyond the spotlight, Daryl's vision is to be known for how he loves and gives. He received the Dave Hunter Community Service Award for his role impacting thousands of students and hundreds of individuals on their recovery journey throughout Metro Atlanta. He also cares deeply about nature and is invested in clean water and environmental projects. When he is not empowering others, Daryl enjoys solitude, long walks in nature, and spending quality time with his wife, Brittany, and their four children, Ava, Ariana, Amaya, and Isaiah. So please welcome Daryl Stinson, aka D Stick.
Hey. Oh, I see some claps. Let me see if I can see this chat working. Can somebody drop a one or a two in the chat if you're here? And if you can hear me, drop a one or a two. Like mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. I see Rachel. I see Tracy. Okay, cool. We can hear me. Stephanie, Heather, Mackenzie, nice. Connie, nice. Nice. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you. Thank you. Brittany Wilcox in the house. Chris, Krista, I see you. Okay, Nina. Okay. Oh, that's now we're talking. Now we're talking. Listen, I appreciate it. I see you, Gary. I can see the chat coming in. Y'all gonna have to talk to me, man. I know it's virtual. I know you listen to me. Maybe you multitasking. I hope you're not. I hope you lock in. I hope you know that I just had a baby, my fifth child. Okay, like, yo, somebody type congrats in the chat if you're excited, if you support that, if you believe in kids and if you're willing to hop on this meal train that we got. I'm just kidding. Sort of. Y'all thank God for the meal train. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for the congrats. I see you, Connie. I see you, Stephanie. I see you, Nate. I'm telling you, our time's going to be so much better if you talk to me. I promise you, none of y'all want to listen to me talk to myself. I promise you, I'm not that entertaining. I promise you, I'm not that engaging. I will help you if you want me to help you. Because listen, all leaders need help. Listen, I learned this through the hard knocks of life that anybody can teach you anything at any time. I already started my presentation. Anybody can teach you anything at any time. And so I understand I have the honor, the privilege to, be a keynote speaker right now in this virtual event. But all of you have a message worth sharing. All of you have perspective, expertise worth listening to. All of you deserve the platform. I just get to have the majority of it right now. And so I appreciate all of you. Thank you for the congratulations in the chat. We're talking about sustainable high performance, okay? And one of the things I know is that there's a lot going on right now. Our world is moving faster than it's ever moved before. This I hate making it seem like everything's AI. It's not just AI. It's our government. It is the shifting of the economy. It is the time era we lived at, and how innovation and technology, not just AI, is creating a change faster than ever before. One of my clients, his name is Ian Beecraft. He's often the headliner or one of the headliners at the South by Southwest conference, very big, well-known conference, and he does a lot of research and study on the future of work. And because I'm coaching him speaking wise, I reviewed a lot of his speeches, and one of the things that he says that's just so fascinating is that if you look and study human history, that we have never been exposed to this much innovation this fast. Our nervous systems are not prepared to handle the amount of change and the rate of change at the speed of which it's happening. So not only is it already hard to deal with the unpredictable economy, but the disruption in the way that technology is innovating and causing us to have to be on our toes or on edge, or we don't even know what tomorrow might bring. We might have to shift up things like that. Anxiety that we live with makes it hard on our nervous systems to bring our best to work. Okay. Like to bring our best every single day. There's a difference between showing up and being able to show up and give your best. And many of us, because of the demands on our plate as leaders, we often are working from a half empty cup. I notice when I say empty cup, a lot of leaders be like, "Well, I ain't empty." But I'm like, but you're not full and overflowing either. And you're supposed to be full and overflowing. We need you to be full and overflowing. If you desire to be full and overflowing, can you type full in the chat? Type full in the chat before I go any further. Type full, Full, full in the chat. If you want to be full and overflowing, yes, Katie, full and overflowing. Yes, Naomi. Yes, Verna. Yes, Alfred. Yes, Molly. Yes, Maria, full and overflowing. Now, listen, I'm not just here to hype you. I'm here to help you be full and overflowing. And if you're already full and overflowing, I want you to be full and overflowing into more people. I don't want you to settle. Okay. One of the things you'll hear about my story as an elite athlete is that I became a really fast, tall person, and I played Division I football. And I actually was all state in track and field. I ran the 400 and the 300 hurdles. If anybody ran the 300 hurdles, you better type that in the chat because that's brutal. Type brutal in the chat. So I ran this, and so I was faster than anybody my size. Okay. And when we did strength and conditioning on my college athletic football team, dude, I ran those dang things. Hey, that's what I'm talking about, Heidi. Let's go. Give it up for Heidi in the chat running the 300. Hey, that's brutal. I'm telling you, if you run it, it's like watching a woman give birth. You'd be like, hey, I'm just gonna clap because I can't do that. I tried. I fell trying to do the 300 hurdles once. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Uh, in high school, dude, I get it. Okay, Jessica, Tracy, and Heidi, where are the guys? What fellas at? Fellas don't do no 300 hurdles. Anyways, so I was a fast dude, especially for my size. So I'm in college, and I'm. They break our strength and conditioning up into three groups. Okay, group number one is the big fat guys like me. Okay, now I was big, I was tall. They was trying to make me fat, but I was still faster than, you know, 80% of the people on the team. Okay. And that was first group. Second group was like linebackers, middle-sized people. Okay. Bigger people, middle-sized people, tiny little people. Okay. Let's just say that's how they broke us up for the people who don't understand football. And the big people had the most time to complete a 100-yard sprint. So we would have like 19 to 21 seconds to do a 100-yard sprint. The medium-sized people would have probably like 18, 17 seconds. And then the smallest people would have like 14 to 16 seconds, right? And so they would make us do 20, 30, 40, 50, one time 110 of these things. I know they should have been sued. Okay. My first week as a freshman, when they did 110 of these things. Now listen, 110. I'm the fastest guy, faster than 80% of the team. I'm running with the slowest people, the biggest guys, the slowest people who have the most amount of time to complete a sprint, not the people who have the least amount of time. And here's what I want y'all to hear. They were applauding me being at the front of the tall people because I was better than most, even though I wasn't pushing my edge. They were applauding me for settling. Oh, I said it. Yes, they were applauding me for settling. Oh, now listen, I was outworking the people in my position group. I was better than the people in my position group. I showed up and watched more film than the people in my position group. I was definitely working hard and I was outworking them, but I still had more in me. Did you hear what I said? I still had more in me. And don't you leave this planet with more in you. Don't you clock in and clock out when there's still more in you. Don't you serve every day and settle for other people's applause just because your average is better than their exceptional. You got more in you when you allow yourself to have more in you. I'm sorry for yelling, but I mean what I say. I could not sit there and allow my potential to go dormant. I needed to see what was in me. Okay, somebody giving me some claps. I ain't talking to myself now. Y'all would at least give me a mini applause at this point. I ain't asking for a standing ovation. Can I get a little love, a little, there we go, a hand clap emoji, a floating heart? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Here's what I know. I can only do so much as a presenter right now. It's about what you do with what I say. It's about what you take away, what you reflect on from what I say. It's about the ideas that start coming to your mind when you hear me talking. It's that stuff. And if any part of you thinks this is hype instead of possibility for you, a reality for you, I'm telling you, you've been fed the wrong programming. Somebody told you that you couldn't when you were young. Somebody told you that you couldn't be. They told you that you were going to be average. They told you to work a job and just wait for retirement. Somebody told you that. And now I'm here to tell you different. I'm here to tell you different. I came from Jackson, Michigan, inner city streets. They told me I was going to be a rapper or an athlete or a drug dealer. A rapper, an athlete, or a dealer. If I would have listened to other people's opinion of what was possible for my life, I would have died in the hood like the rest of my friends. I'm sorry to get personal. I would have died in the hood like the rest of my friends. But I believe I survived. Woo! I believe you survived. I believe you're leading so that you can be an overflowing cup into everybody else. So I am provoking more out of you, but I'm provoking more sustainably. Sustainably. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay. Let me tell you a little bit about my story. I grew up, like I mentioned, in a small town called Jackson, Michigan. It's about an hour west of Detroit for those of you who might not know little small town Jackson. And here's me when I was younger. Somebody say, Katie from Jackson. I see you, Katie. Alfred, thanks for the love, bro. I see you. And one of the things that my mom did when I was younger, she put me in accelerated learning classes. I was a really smart kid. I was all A student. I actually had perfect attendance in school. And my goal when I was in the fifth grade was to make it all the way K through 12 with perfect attendance. That's how cheesy and nerdy I was. But how many of you know in the inner city, being cheesy and nerdy does not make you popular, it makes you picked on. And so my mom thought I was brilliant, but my friends picked on me. They called me a black kid that talked and act white. They basically called me a white boy. They started making rumors that I was homosexual, and I wasn't. I don't have anything against it. I'm just telling you, when that's not my sexual orientation, it was frustrating to me. I don't know why God gave me this high pitched laugh when I laugh. I wanted a deep chuckle, but he gave me this high pitched laugh. I don't even know if it's picking up over Zoom. But the point is, I would get made fun of for how I laugh. But the other thing, I like that y'all on Zoom, y'all can see this. I got this big giant gap in my teeth. And oh, when the teachers used to cut off the lights, we used to watch Bill Nye the Science Guy. I would feel things hitting me in the head. And when I looked up, it was kids trying to kick little small paper footballs through my teeth. So I grew up with all these deep seated insecurities. I see you, Kathy. I grew up with all these deep seated insecurities that who I was authentically wasn't enough to be liked or loved by other people. And to make a long story short, I learned that the better I got at being an athlete, that the less they cared about if I talked white or black, if I hung out with the black people at the basement party, or if I hung out with the white people at the bonfires. All they cared about was that, man, this dude is starting to become ranked in the nation. He's playing AAU basketball. He's really fast in track. He's on, the Jackson Citizen Patriot and the M Live local news. Like that's all they really cared about. Was that I was supposed to be like the next Tony Dungy to come out of Jackson. Um, and I fell in love with that because when I didn't fit in and I wasn't cool or popular, and now because my success as an athlete is making me that, man, like it's intoxicating to the ego. So I essentially earned a full ride scholarship to play football and basketball actually at Central Michigan University. And I went there in 2000 and what was that? 2008 is when I graduated from J High. Okay, fire up. Okay, hi, that's what I'm talking about. Fire up, chips. Any Chippewas in the building? And so we ended up I never forget when it was our coach Steve Stripling, a legendary coach, and he looked at me my freshman year and a guy by the name of Antonio Brown. It was like after one of our practices, and he pulled us aside. And he says, "Hey, gentlemen, it's not a matter of if you're going to go to the NFL. It's just a matter of when." And he was emphasizing that we had the opportunity to leave early, that we were so good we could leave college early to play in the NFL. Well, 2 years later, Antonio Brown would enter into the NFL draft, get drafted in the sixth round, and he would become arguably one of the top 10 receivers to ever play in the NFL. 2 years later, I was being rushed to the hospital to have an emergency surgery on my back before my left leg went paralyzed. That was supposed to be it for me. The coaches said, "You have a golden opportunity. We will, because we value your leadership, will allow you to will honor your scholarship and will allow you to come around football whenever you want. So you can have a free education for 4 years." Because I was still, I would have been a red shirt, technically freshman at that time. So you'll still have 4 years of education and you get to come around athletics. It's like winner, winner, chicken dinner. But they didn't understand that for me, sports just wasn't what I did. It was who I was, y'all. And when we work so hard at something and when we do it for so long and when we care so much, sometimes our identity gets wrapped up in our work. And my identity was wrapped up in this athlete identity. It was wrapped up in this sports industry. And and so man, I was like, I'm not gonna go down like that. I had the back surgery. I came back from back surgery and signed a liability waiver so that the university would not be liable for my injury or death should it happen on the field. I played and started as a defensive end for 2 years after this back surgery, and I did so because of primarily opioid pills, painkillers. And what started as me just taking, different types of painkillers in order to numb the physical pain I was feeling, it transitioned to me starting to take them to numb the emotional pain that I was feeling from knowing that my career was going to end soon and my body was failing me and I couldn't keep this dream up any longer. So as that was slipping away, I didn't have these tools. I was a high performer, y'all. And on the outside, it looked good. And that's how it looks when we're leaders and we know how to execute and we are disciplined and we know good time management. It's like we look like we have it all together. We're helping all these other people, but we ourselves are having this private struggle. That's what my life was like. And y'all, you got to hear my heart. Sometimes somebody should write this down. Somebody type this in the chat. Sometimes you have to check in on your strong friends too. Somebody write that in the chat. Sometimes you have to check in on your strong friends too. That's bonus material. That's not even on the slides. Come on. Sometimes you have to check in on your strong friends too. I promise you I ain't moving until I see it. There we go. Sometimes you have to check in on your strong friends too. Yes, we got to remind ourselves that just because they're strong doesn't mean they're not struggling. Just because they're strong doesn't mean they don't have areas of their life where they're suffering. Okay. And so I was externally successful. And because I was, people thought I was, because I was strong, people thought that I wasn't suffering. And I was suffering. I was suffering at midnight. I was suffering at 2 a.m. in the morning. I was suffering in public because I didn't know how to be vulnerable. When I was younger, every time I would get emotional, I would have parents and even sometimes, their friends who would spank me and be like, stop acting like a wuss. Boy, you better stop crying or I give you something to cry about. And it forced me to hold all of this emotion in. I told you how I was teased, for how I looked, for how I talked. So my authentic personality, what you see now from stage, I taught myself to be this tough football player. What up, though? I didn't know how to express what was going on with me. I didn't know how to say, y'all, I'm struggling. I didn't know how to say, I don't know who I am outside of this work identity as an athlete. I didn't know how to say, I don't know if people like me or if they just like me for what they can get from me. Like, I didn't know, y'all. And so I lived with all that emotional turmoil suppressed inside of me. And one of the things I say often from stage is that whatever you don't express, you will suppress. When you have this high level of stress work, when you got to deal with so much adaptation, and I talked about the rate of change, if you don't process your day, if you're not expressing the emotions around how you feel, somebody type feel in the chat. Feel, Feel. How you feel matters. Ah, not what you did. How you doing? Fine. How you doing? Keeping on, keeping on. How you doing? I'm all right. Hanging on in there. No, how you feel matters. Stop hanging in there. Be overflowing. How you feel matters. Stop keeping on, keeping on. Start living and loving. I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling with you. Sometimes you got to talk to yourself. Do you understand that whether you talk to yourself out loud or not, you are always talking to yourself? Research will tell us, some of y'all might even know this research better than I, between 50 to 70,000 thoughts that we think per day. And most of those thoughts are repetitive. And the majority of them are negative. Oh, I didn't do this. Oh, man, this is going on. All the economy, all this. And we're just indoctrinating ourselves with negativity. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm so sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. But sometimes you got to talk yourself into stuff you've been talking yourself out of. Sometimes you got to you tell yourself an opposite narrative. When I started doing counseling, I'm so ahead of myself. It's fine. When I started doing counseling, I hope y'all are grateful that I'm not just flipping through slides and reciting to you an AI written presentation with a virtual teleprompter. I hope you want something real. I hope you want something relevant. I hope you want something from my heart and not just from my head. I hope you want something that can be helpful. That's something that's true for me. Something that I would tell you straight to your face if I was looking at you. I hope you want that. Thank you for the love. I appreciate that. Okay. Um, I had all that in me and I didn't know to express it. I wasn't expressing it, I was suppressing it. And when you suppress your emotions, it's only a matter of time before you implode on yourself or explode on other people. I imploded. It turned to self harm. Turned it turned dark. I know some of you have been to that dark place before. And if you haven't, I hope you never do. Because depression, uh, it it grows in darkness, but it multiplies in isolation, y'all. And I know people who are struggling, especially high performers. I know that we can keep on keeping on sometimes. But if you keep doing that and you're not actively processing your emotions every day, I'm telling you, it's only a matter of time before you implode or explode. And sometimes that might take 50, 60, 70 years. But who wants to live that long, never giving space for their own voice, never giving space for their own feelings, never holding the same level of care for themselves like we hold for the people that we love the most? I said this to one of my clients today. I said, man, you would never talk to yourself. You would never talk to your clients. You would never talk to your coworkers. You would never talk to your friends the way that you talk to yourself. We got to start treating ourselves with the same level of grace, love, tenderness that we treat the people who we care about the most. It's a really important part. Okay. Um, my final attempt at ending my life was in Detroit, Michigan. This was the psychiatric unit that I was at, Henry Ford Health System. If anybody is connected with them, partners with them, collaborates with them, saved my life, gave me a safe place to heal. It was at that place that I found out about two things. Number one, I found faith. I didn't have it at the time. I was agnostic. I didn't believe anything. I had no hope, had no purpose. Faith gave me purpose. The second thing that happened is I found out about self care. Okay, self care. I did my first journal entry, saw my first counselor, did my first mindfulness exercise. And I started to see that, man, there's this whole world on the inside here that I hadn't even explored. It was like, whoa, I didn't even know there was a human on the inside there talking. I was just going through life like a robot, being an athlete, and a version of myself that everybody else thought I should be. It was a street thug dude, you know? And I came out of that place determined that I wasn't just going to have a system of success, y'all. I was going to have a system of self care. Okay. And it really started to work, man. I got hired at Central Michigan University as a marketing and copywriting director. My degree is in integrated public relations. I had a lot of success early on, and one of my keynotes is called "Rising to Greatness." I just gave it this morning to a group of Chamber of Commerce in Metro Atlanta. And I talk about mindset, skill set, network. It's my system of success and how I managed to be great in a lot of things. I worked that mindset, skill set, network here at Central Michigan University, but this time with the self care initiative that I'm going to walk you guys through too on this call today. And it created holistic success in my life, not just external success in my life. And so not only was I having deeper levels of fulfillment, figuring out who I was more, learning how to become a more vulnerable person. Man, my father was physically present in my life after the first 5 years. And then, but he was emotionally absent and still a lot of ways is. Great father, loves me dearly, but his father wasn't in his life. His father didn't have any like real conversations with him. So my dad is light years ahead of his dad. But in terms of me, like he was never really emotionally present. And so I had three girls, my first three children, girl, girl, girl. And not that all girls are emotional. I think we all are emotional. Okay. It's not just a gender thing. And and because my daughters had lots of emotions and lots of feelings and they cared about what daddy thought, I had to soften up, man. I couldn't just walk around and be like, toughen up, little girls. But that's how my dad was. That's how I was trained. And I couldn't, and I dang sure I mean, I'm 6'5" and a half. I really didn't feel right spanking them like I was spanked when I was younger because one hit and it's like, oh, that's somebody gonna call protective custody on me. I'm giant. I'm not gonna hit this little child that's a girl, And so, man, I didn't have, I had to learn through counseling how to even have a conversation with my daughters. I remember looking at Robert Plucknick's emotional wheel and literally having to point to one of the emotion words just to see how I was feeling because I didn't even have emotional language. That's how far I've come, y'all. So I was doing that work, and yes, of course, I was, writing feature stories. You see Colin Powell's appearance at CMU. I wrote his intro to his speech, which is a whole nother story. Somebody should ask me that in the aftermath. And then helped manage his press appearance to CMU. I started speaking on stages. You heard that I did a TEDx talk, did 2.1 million views in a year and a half. Like, y'all gotta understand, I used to be so insecure to speak in front of people that I used to leave the room during icebreakers and fake like I had to go to the bathroom. So, I was not like this. I know I'm like all happy and loud and energetic and chat, chat, chat now. But I got a picture on my slideshow here. You'll see I was not that way. And even if you see my TED talk, like look at my outfit. My shirt is 3.5 sizes too big. I had no style, no flair. I was still had your external is a reflection of your internal. Okay. And so I was still struggling to keep up. I was still just like, sure, I'll share my story because this is what I'm supposed to do with my purpose. But like I'm still sad, insecure, still working through the internal self care, but committed to doing that work. You ain't got to do it all, but consistency compounds. You don't have to do it all, but consistency compounds. One of the reasons why people don't benefit enough from their own emotional self care is because they don't do it consistently enough. They do it a couple times. They do a 7-day journal. They might do a 30-day journal challenge or something, but they ain't even doing more than 30 days. Hey, listen, if you're trying to lose 10 pounds and you only go to the gym every once in a while, hey, if your fitness routine matched your self care routine, you would be 80, 90, 100 pounds overweight. Consistency compounds. Sometimes it's not about new information. It's about being consistent with the information that we know. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not sorry. That's good to hear. It's good to hear. It's good to hear that all I gotta do is be more consistent, not perfect. I didn't say 180 days in a row for an hour a day. I didn't say that. But can you do 5 minutes a day consistently more times than not? More times than not? Okay. Because when you do that, I'm telling you, you won't just continue to do more externally. You'll start to expand more internally. Your capacity to lead, your capacity to handle conflict and stress and still perform and not be on the verge of burnout, but actually have capacity to handle where other people are burning out. Do you understand? I was a high level athlete. I told you we did 110 sprints, 110, 100-yard sprints. They called it Crucible Week. So people were burning out, but just because people burn out don't mean you have to. Your capacity can be better. Your emotional capacity to handle more, your mental capacity to handle more. And I want you to do that sustainably, okay? I did these clients, da da da. Here's my family. Y'all say aw to the family. Say aw. Say aw to the family. Okay. To have that success, to coach these companies, to coach these clients while leading this family is my greatest accomplishment. To me, my life speaks so much louder than my lips. I think if people actually wanted to learn from me as a speaker, they should not listen to me speak. They should interview my children. And not that my children is perfect. My two oldest daughters helped at our event that we had on Tuesday. And some of the people are like, your daughters are so good. They're so amazing. Oh my gosh, why are they so great, well-behaved children? And they are. But just so they didn't think that my kids was better than anybody else, because I tell them, hey, listen, my kids complain about dumb stuff too. My kids fight with each other too. My kids don't brush their teeth and lie and say they did too. Like they still are kids, you know what I mean? But I tell you what, I tell you what, tell you what. Thank you. Sorry. I'm more emotionally connected to my children than 80% of the men I know. My wife just gave birth to our fifth child, our fourth daughter. And I was holding her and I was breathing with her while she was contracting. And I was just saying, sweetie, you can do this. You've done this 4 times now. Breathe, deep breath in. Let. How many men y'all know do that? Not even emotionally connected enough. Why? Because they've been taught that we are not supposed to feel that that emotions are weak, that vulnerability is not productivity. It is a lie. You can't lead well if you're not connected emotionally. We're teaching EQ now more than we teaching IQ, and it ain't going backwards. By the way, AI, ChatGPT is better at IQ than any of us. We got to get good at EQ. It's not an option anymore. Somebody say yes, yes in the chat. Okay. So I believe that our message should be tested in our home before it's ever tested in our leadership. Okay. Because who are we leading if we're not leading our home well? All right. Not perfection, but progression. Here's a system of self care. Let's get through this. Somebody type care in the chat. If you want to know the system of self care. If we're in person, thank you, Katie. Thank you, Stephanie. Come on, care, care, care. If we were in person, I would just give books away, stand up. Here we go. Music, bump, 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 bump. Get your energy right. You should just get up and start dancing right now. You know what's funny? In class, growing up in middle school, they said Daryl talks too much. He talks too much. He talks too much. He talks too much. Now all I do is get paid to talk. Listen, stop letting other people's opinion of you cause you to shrink who you are. If they say you're too much, too emotional, too goofy, too serious, too analytical, you're not too anything. Just be yourself. Nothing stresses leaders out more. Nothing weighs heavier than carrying an identity you ain't supposed to be wearing. You know what I said to the chamber today? I can't believe I said this. I can't believe I said this. I shouldn't have said it this way. I said, some of you um, um, are wearing an obvious mismatch of your identity. Oh, I said that. And then I pointed to a picture of me on the screen that had me in a tie, and I was buttoned up tie when I was when I worked for United Way, and I thought I had to like raise money by wearing a tie and being all professional. And I said, man, I believed the lie that being professional meant being uncomfortable. And since when was that a thing? Like, if y'all respect me less because I don't wear a tie, you ain't my people. You're not my people. I'm sorry. I respect you. But man, that ain't got nothing to do with the quality of my content. Now, I ain't up here in a tank top. Why is that important? Because I'm telling you, if you're showing up every day, doing it how you're supposed to do it, being who you think you should be, saying what you think you should say, that will exhaust you more than 80 hours of work will, because sometimes emotions wear you out more than work does. Mm. All right, I'm done now. I'm just gonna walk away. Somebody give me some love. Amen. Chat, clap, something. System of self care. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Alfred. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Tracy. Here we go. Conscious awareness. Conscious awareness is the practice of becoming more aware and improving how your thoughts and beliefs affect the results in all areas of your life. Okay. It is you becoming more consciously aware of how your subconscious beliefs impact the results that you experience in life. Okay. Here's how I learned this. I was in therapy and I was doing all of this processing, right? Why am I feeling unfulfilled at work? Why am I feeling stressed still? Even though I'm like in therapy doing the work, blah, blah, blah. And the therapist will keep asking me all these questions. Well, Daryl, tell me about that. What do you think about that? How does it make you feel? And just asking me all these questions, just questioning me to death. Anybody ever get therapy and just get mad at the therapist? Like, get to the point, therapist. Figure it out. Stop making me wrestle in my emotions. Come on. And so they're asking me all these questions. I'm like, oh God, come on. When can this be over? I'm so tired of expressing. Where's this going? This is not helping. I got work to do. But I'm paying you, so I should probably try. This is me doing therapy in the other early days. And I realized something. They were doing cognitive behavioral therapy. Many of you know that. Cognitive behavioral therapy, which is essentially talk therapy. They were basically trying to help me to discover and uncover how my thoughts were producing my feelings, which were producing my actions, which were producing my results. I don't know who said this, but we do not see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. We do not see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. We see the world through the lens of our own paradigm. This is why you can have two people listen to the same information and one person's frustrated and one person feels impacted. A lot of times because of our paradigm. This is why you can have two people who read the same email with the same urgency of crisis, and one person has an even kill temperament about it, and the other person stressing out, forwarding, BCCing people. Why? Because is this too honest? See, I need to see faces right now. I'm like getting nervous if I'm being too honest. Okay, our paradigms, okay, affect our perception. Okay, there's a paradigm many people carry that they can't get quantumly better, that you can't literally be one of the best at what you do, that you can't be a millionaire, right? That's a perception, that's a mental limitation. It's not true. It's not reality. Even if you made 60 grand a year, you still can become a millionaire through investments. If you tell your mind, you can. You with me? Our thoughts produce our feelings, produce our action, produce our results. Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, Maria, for telling me I can keep going. All right. So, one of the things that you could do, practically speaking, if you're experiencing any turmoil, stress, pain in your life, emotionally, mentally, strain as a leader, instead of always trying to white knuckle it or keep on keeping on or just like show up next day and drink more coffee, um, analyze the results you're speaking and see if you can trace it back to the thoughts you're thinking. I'm gonna say that again. Analyze the results you're experiencing and see if you can trace it back to the thoughts you're thinking. Okay. So you might be like, okay, every time at this work or this meeting, I get frustrated. Every time during this time of year, I get overwhelmed, blah, blah, blah. And some of that you can't change. But some of that you can be like, hmm, I feel frustrated about this. And what am I thinking? What's going through my mind when in this meeting? Hmm, hmm, hmm. What am I thinking about? I'll give you an example. Okay. I used to have a lot of arguments with my wife early in our marriage because I had a lot of suppressed emotion that was coming out of my nervous system. So remember, I told you whatever you don't express, you suppress. So I had all this suppressed emotion in my nervous system. And we used to argue. I used to yell. I had a big temper. I used to be like, "Stop talking to me like that!" I just mad, angry all the time because the only emotion I knew how to express was anger because I was allowed to express anger as a man. Okay. Ugh. We used to get into a lot of these arguments after I came home from work because I was already stressed out. And y'all know how it is. You stress at work, you bring that stuff home a lot of times, unless you have a drink. I'm not recommending you do. Okay. Um, and so and matter of fact, you won't if you identify your thoughts. So here we go. So long story short, I'm in this work counseling wise, and I'm having this repetitive argument with my wife after work. And then finally, I start to take this game more seriously, this cognitive behavioral therapy game more seriously. And I'm like, you know what? Instead of just going into the house and being like, work was stressful, let me try to talk to my wife. And my wife's overwhelmed, and now she's not being a good therapist. And I'm mad at her, and I'm yelling at her because she didn't have the home ready or whatever was going on. I was like, what am I thinking about? Well, I was thinking about all the work stress. So no wonder why the home was being stressful because the mind was transporting the stress paradigm from the work to the home. So instead of going straight from work to home, I would take an extra little loop around, like, kind of like a little, what do you call it, circumference of my home. Like I was just driving in circles basically. And I would just tell myself a thought that I wanted to feel. Man, you know what? I'm going to go home and it's gonna be good. I'm gonna have the patience I need. I'm gonna speak nice to my wife. I'm gonna like think about her. I'm gonna da da da. I start telling myself that. And guess what, y'all? Do you think I start feeling differently? I start feeling differently. You know what? Since I was feeling different, I started acting a little different. I didn't come home like, "Hey, sweetie, hanging up the keys." I came home. I was like, "What's up?" Yes. Mwah. My wife's like, "What are you on? Are you on drugs?" No, I'm changing my thoughts. And that's what I want your coworkers to think about you. Hey, man, are you on drugs? Why are you so happy? Why are you so positive? Why are you not complaining like everybody else? Why are you not just keeping on like everybody else? Because I listened to this speaker named Daryl and he yelled at me long enough for me to change my thoughts, to change my feelings, to change my actions, to change my results. And I stop knowing that this is a good thing to do. And I start doing it like it's the good thing that I know. And I examine my thoughts and it changed my feelings and it changed my actions. And now my results are changing. Same work, different results. Same problems, different me. Okay. Your thoughts produce your feelings, produce your action, produce your results. All right. I told you the wife story. I told you about this. Let's go to the next one. Okay. Activities. Activities is the practice of moving your body to get an optimal energetic state so that you have more than enough internal willingness, oof, strength, and energy. Oh, to live and lead at your best. Remember, I said we want to be cups that's full and overflowing. Listen, energy expands. Okay. When you give energy, you get energy. This is why it's why people who work out and stuff all the time, they always have more energy than people who don't. It's like, dude, can I be honest? I guess I can. I can't see your face. I'm gonna say yes. One of the reasons why I had so much success when I worked in corporate is because everybody was moving too slow. It was like coming in at work at 9, they're starting the coffee, checking their email for 2 straight hours, take a break, talking for 30 minutes. Ugh, like, I'm like, oh my God, why are y'all moving? We come to this meeting, everybody's sitting down, getting comfortable. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, y'all gotta understand, I came from athletics. When we were at work, hey, they did not pay me to say this, okay? They did not bribe me to say this. When we were at work, we were working, working, sweating, trying hard, like not sort of trying, not kind of trying, like actually sweating, whistleblowing. Now, I know that sounds extreme. I do. I'm not telling you you should be on your desktop going like this. But what I'm saying is that if you showing up to work looking like you just woke up. Now, listen, I am a small business. My jacket's coming off. I'm sorry. I'm getting hot. I am a small business owner. I pay people yearly salaries and hourly wages. And if they come to work and it takes them 2 hours to get going, I'm sorry. You're not taking my kids' bacon. So you can be lazy. You got to work for this. I'm so sorry. You got to work for this. You got to work for this. I don't know why we go to work to not work. I think it's like 65% the research says that the majority of the workforce is disengaged, which means we're at work not wanting to be there. We're halfway there. Our mind is somewhere else. We're thinking about something else. We're just kind of typing in half like we're not working from purpose and passion and getting everything we got. We're not cups overflowing. Why? Because we're not using activities to shift our state, to breathe more energy into our life. We're not using the movement of our physical bodies in order to make ourselves more willing and congruent and creative in our work. So when I was at Central Michigan University, when we would go meetings, I would make us do jumping jacks before the meetings because it spurs on greater creativity. Listen, we did crisis communications. Crisis communications. I got trained that if there was an active shooter, I got trained by military personnel that if there was an active shooter on campus, the first thing that we should do is use our body and our breath to bring our energy to a state of calm. So we can have clarity. Your body is an instrument. Your body is a tool. Stop putting so much energy and effort into time management and learn energy management. Learn how to eat the right things, think the right thoughts, learn how to work with your instrument. Breath, feet on the earth, ground. Ah, that is your superpower. That's how you sustain the amount of stress that's on you. That's how, when you get, listen, if your job, how many of you would say that sometimes your job gets stressful? Type me in the chat. Come on, type me in the chat. If your job ever gets stressful, type me in the chat. Come on, Steph. Thank you for being honest. Thank you, Jim. Me. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, cool. Go. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Cecilia. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Kelsey. Thank you. Okay. Here, if you experience stress in your work and you're not shedding that, you're not moving your body to get that out, your nervous system, you're not breathing to reset. You're not using your instrument enough. It's like being in a war and not actually using your weapons. Like, can you imagine being in a war and not using your weapons? Some of you are in a war and you're not even using the weapon of breath, the weapon of 5 minutes of dance that helps you forget about your worries. Why? So you can approach work from a different state. State. What state are you in? Okay. I remember being so lonely and depressed, and I would have all this wrestling going on the inside of me. I was struggling. And the moment I start running, I tell people all the time, it is hard to be depressed and out of breath at the same time. So if you had a heavy workload, instead of being like, complain, 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 complain train, instead of being complain train, if you just uh did 30 seconds of jumping jacks. All right. So sometimes when I'm in audiences, I'm gonna do this for y'all. Okay. Here's what I tell people to do. Okay. I learned this from one of my clients. Okay. Kristen Erickson. She's one of the number one super goal achievers in the world. Okay. And I say, up, down. I'm doing a body squat. Up, down, body squat. Up, down, body squat. Up, down, body squat. Up, down. I'll do that for like 30, 60 seconds, depending on how long the audience can take it. Okay. So I kind of want to make you do that right now. Thank you, Trish. I see your hand. I'll do that for 30 to 60 seconds. Okay. And at the 30 to 60 second when people are starting to laugh, and they laugh because they get uncomfortable, but people start getting out of breath. And here's what happens every time, especially because at this point in the presentation, I've been talking for like 30, 40 minutes. So they're like, they like it. But at the same time, it's a lot to listen to somebody that long, right? And so you'll see their energy, the energy in the room will completely shift. People are laughing. People are like light again. They're ready to listen to me for a little longer. And then I asked them, don't you feel a difference in your physical state right now? That took 30 seconds. You were about to fall asleep listening to me. You were like, trying not to check your cell phone. You were like itching to do your email. You did 30 seconds of up, down, up, down. You did 30 seconds of that. 30 seconds of that. And you did it. And you see how different you feel? Yo, that's how simple it is. Do 30 seconds of that. And that's how different you'll feel. I saw Tracy. Your hand is up. Come on, you guys. You got a question? Or are you telling me about my time? Holler at me. Or she was just saying me. Is that what was happening? I think that's what was happening. I think she was just raising her hand and saying me, telling you about your comments. Okay, thank you. Okay, cool. I got you. Yeah, I'm cool on time. 4 minutes is enough for your boy. Okay. Um. And here's what I learned, y'all. Um. It's not about what you do. It's not about what you hear. It's about what you do with what you hear. Knowing how to ride a bike is not the same thing as riding a bike. I get people so are like detail oriented people. They'd be like, "Can you send me your slides?" I'm like, "Why do you want my slides? You want my slides? Which which one of the slides you gonna do first? Because I know that you got enough notes from what I said. I know. Listen, I know I said enough. That I gave you something to do. Huh? Are you analyzing, reverse analyzing your thoughts and your results? Are you seeing how your thoughts are influencing your result? Are you doing that? Are you being vulnerable? Are you checking in on your strong friends? Are you using breath in your instrument as often as frequently as you can? My guess is none of us are. So we don't need more information. We need to do more with the information that we know. Okay. Activities. I got 2 minutes. Relationship. Oh, sorry. 70% of the global workforce is either actively or not is either not engaged or actively disengaged. That's sad. Okay. Um, let's talk about our relationships. What I want you to know about relationships is this. Most all of our stress comes back to how we're managing our relationships. Okay. And the number one thing I want you to get from this section in terms of a practical action steps is that you start to be as intentional with your relationships as sometimes we are with our money when we want to make it stretch. We take for granted people all the time, and people, not money, not time, are our most valuable assets. People still matter. So I have an intentional relationship guide. I have my top 5 relationships in my life. I know their purpose. I know the vision I have for them. And I'm always thinking about my next steps and how I intentionally steward them. I don't want to steward my money better than I steward my relationships. That's the number one thing I want you to learn from that. And the last thing we'll talk about is expression. This is the practice of giving voice to your talents, beliefs, and desires so that you have increasingly deep fulfillment and you give your best to the world. Whatever you don't express, you suppress. If you have talents, gifts, dreams, desires, if you have books you want to write, if you have poems you want to share, if you knit stuff, if you want to build stuff on the side, like if you have thoughts and opinions and if you like to dance, if you like to go bowling, all of that stuff matters. Because if you suppress your desires, you will walk around emotionally overweight. And I want you to be emotionally light. I want you to have levity so that you're not walking through an already challenging life and world with more weight on your shoulders. Let some of that off by authentically expressing your talents, your gifts, and your desires. Don't let those dreams, don't let those passions, don't let those unexplored habits stay in your head and in your heart and in your mind. Express them. Y'all, listen, I promise you that if you start to dive in deeper to your conscious awareness, I promise you that if you use activities to shift your state, I promise you that if you're intentional with your relationships and you are just as intentional with your relationships as you are with your money when you want it to stretch And if you continually examine, ah, what do I love to do? What do I like to do? What do I keep telling myself that I will do when I'm not in this busy season that I need to give myself permission to do right now? If you practice these things, these are practices, not a game. Practice. They're meant to be practiced consistently, not learned intellectually. If you do these things more times than not, conscious awareness, activities, relationships, and expression, I promise you, you won't just have success, you'll have sustainable success. And that's what I'm here to give to you today. That's my time, y'all. I thank you so much, man. And I hope you gain some value from it all.
Well, thank you guys so much. So I think we have time for maybe a couple of questions.
Mhm.
If you
We're
have
ready.
any in the chat or ask directly, maybe two questions.
Mhm. As a mom of a D1 athlete, and go Buckner on a former D1 player. I appreciate you being willing to be open and authentic with your struggles, your identity crisis, the way you overcome. What a great energy filled way to end our day. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate that. Woohoo, thank you. We
Well,
got
thank
Bravo
you.
and thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. I think that I am on for maybe if we don't have any other questions.
Scrolls you
Oh,
at the
we
end.
do
They
have a
got you.
question. We have a question.
How do you keep in touch with family when on the road? Oh man. My mentor David Meltzer used to say 5 minutes a day to devote to your family. So I try to live by that. Like I try to take 5 minutes each day just to tell my parents and my family the main thing that they care about. I'm doing well. I'm happy. I'm healthy. I'm blessed. I don't need anything. I love y'all. I'm thinking about y'all. Like I try to say something like that to them. So because it's like 5 minutes a day thing, it's like easy for me to be like, I can do this consistently, and I want it to compound. The other thing that I do that I think is important to mention is I try to be authentic in that. To me, I don't want to just do it to be like, oh, I always check to my mom every day. Like I want it to mean something. So I try to find something that I'm authentically like, grateful for. Some might be like, man, I'm really grateful that, I'm more present with this child than I was with my other children because of the growth that I did personally in my life. And, that's a little extra love for the family, and a little more vulnerability than I might do with some of my colleagues. Thank you, Kathy. I hope that helps. Has anyone ever accused you of being self-important instead of acknowledging your confidence? And if so, how do you respond to that? Dude, that it actually took me years to be okay with being as confident as I was, or confident as I am now. And I say confident, because I still have to like geek myself up. I still get nervous. I still get insecure, especially when I feel like I'm not on my A game. Like my gig this morning, I felt like I was like still kind of like trying to find it. Like y'all got the warmed up version of me. They got like the first one, and I think I did a little bit better here maybe. But I get accused of that all the time. Because it does sound like that, you and then greatness and that. And oftentimes I just soften my approach. I'll tell them like, hey man, my mom might not ever write a best-selling book. She might not ever be, nobody might ever, she might not ever do a TED talk. She might not ever be famous, but it was my mom who threw herself on the hood of my car when I was going to commit suicide, you know? And so, like, you can't tell me her purpose doesn't matter. You can't tell me Martin Luther King's mentor, that nobody knows his name, he didn't matter into the overall fabric of humanity. So, I think when people kind of attack you for being confident, it's because your success reminds them of their lack thereof. It's because your confidence reminds them of their lack thereof. So it's really not me they're responding to, it's their insecurity. It's how they didn't stand up for themselves. It's how they perceive themselves that's in the way. Because confident people aren't mad that I'm confident. It's only non-confident people that's mad that I'm confident. Does that make sense? And by the way, all the people are, it's not about me. It's not about, that's false humility. They're low. Well, it's nothing. Downplaying your accomplishments is false humility. It's not even real humility. And so it's like the people that are talking, I don't think they realize that, they're walking in false humility because they're acting like they're not good at something when they are. And that's fake. And I don't want to be fake. Sorry to be honest. Do you have to modify depending on the audience? I know lots of comedians who had to learn how to do stand up over Zoom and they had to learn how to interact with quiet screens without cameras on. Yes, yes. And can y'all not see how honest I am? I'm at the stage of my career, thank God, where again, I don't get paid the most in this industry. I get paid well. And I get to say yes and no to things that I want to say yes and no to. And I say yes. And the reason why I said yes to this is because they heard me speak before. They came recommended, and they were going to let me be who I am, say what truly believe, and weren't going to like make me over edit my voice. It's like, why hire a speaker and make him say exactly what you want to hear? Don't you want to hear something from my heart? And so it's like they gave me permission to do that. I hope I didn't say too much of the wrong things or trigger anybody. I hope I did justice, but man, I try not to modify it anymore. I just try to be nice and see the best in people, and I try to love people enough to speak life and love into them, and also to tell them when they not actually trying. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna coddle you when you're not even trying hard enough. Like that's not gonna help you. That's enabling you. That's not love. That's enablement. And I think we got to learn how to be more honest with people and stop trying to coddle everything because we're enabling society and we're all connected and it only hurts all of us. So the better we all get, the better we all get. Okay. All right. Thank y'all.
Well,
I
thank
appreciate
you.
your time. Yep.
Thank you so much. I'm trying to get my camera back on. Sorry. Thank you so much, Daryl.
Yep.
As we close, let's give Daryl another virtual round of applause for such a wonderful closing keynote. His words grounded us, they challenged us, and they reminded us how much self-care is so important. And as we close today's convening, I want to sort of take a moment to just reflect on what connectedness has meant for us throughout the day. We've heard from some powerful voices that elevated lived experience earlier. We heard how to strengthen collaboration and um, enhance our communication, and reminded us that healing, data, and prevention must move together, not in a silo, not parallel, but as one braided path forward. We also deepened our understanding of the critical role of safe and stable housing in shaping the health and well-being of our communities. Today, that really reinforced what many of us see every day in our work, that housing is just not shelter, it's safety, it's dignity, it's stability, it's health and well-being. It is prevention. And when families don't have a consistent safe place to live, we see the ripple effects of that in every corner of their lives. So, including risk of injury, substance use, chronic stress. So that presentation earlier really um, helped strengthen that understanding from that prevention lens that we work in, and it affirms the value of that cross-sector partnership. We was also reminded about self-care from Daryl. What a wonderful presentation. And he reminded us that self-care is not optional, it is essential. And he reminded us to lead with emotional intelligence, that we must root ourselves in the systems of self-care that he provided to us: conscious awareness, healthy expression, intentional activity, and really focusing on those relationships that we build. It shouldn't just be a personal practice, but they should be professional competencies that will allow us to sustain the work that we do with clarity, with resilience, and with purpose. We were also challenged to advance our work while showing up as our healthiest, most rounded selves, because we all know in this space that injury and violence and prevention at its core is human work. We work with individuals every day, and human work demands our human sustainability. it calls on us to really practice self-care, not as an afterthought, but as a foundation that strengthens our ability to stay aware, compassionate, patient, and connected, even in the midst of complexity. So, at the heart of our mission, MIPA brings people together. We foster communication, collaboration, and the kind of connection that turns ideas into solutions and solutions into community level change. Today, as I sort of, listen to the presenters and the workshops, it reminded us to remain steadfast in our mission of safety and prevention, and to stay true to the purpose that unites us across states, disciplines, and communities. So, as we move forward today, let us lead with compassion. Let us ground ourselves, our strategies in evidence. Let us honor lived experience, not just as an antidote or as an afterthought, but as an expertise, really understanding that, really valuing that, and really bringing that to the table in everything that we do. And let us remain bold in our belief that prevention works. It really works. And together, we can build a safer, healthier future for every community we serve. But before I share some important announcements as we officially wrap up, I really also want to thank MIPA board and the planning committee once again, Nicole, for this awesome opportunity, the tech behind the scene, because it wouldn't have been possible without them. So thank you guys again. And then just a few announcements before we close. You'll receive an email with the conference survey soon. So we would love for you to take a few moments to complete it, because that feedback is really going to help us as we start planning 2026 conference. The video slides and the other resources from today's sessions will be available on the MIPA website. And then if you have not already, if you're not already a MIPA member, we encourage you to join and then get involved in the committees. You can sign up at www.midwestinjurypreventionalliance.org or email info@midwestinjurypreventionalliance.org with questions, and we can definitely drop those websites in the chat. And then save the date for 2026 MIPA Summit. It will also be held virtually. It'll be held Thursday, December 10th, 2026, and Michigan has the privilege and honor of hosting it again. And then thank you again for joining us today. Thank you for your partnership, your dedication, and the important work you do each and every day to make a difference for the communities we serve across the state. We look forward to seeing you next year and hope many of you will continue to stay engaged and connected through our ongoing MIPA efforts.